So today we'll be looking at another question, and the question reads as follows. A certain number is added to 7 and then divided by 2. The result is 4. What is the number? So we'll just quickly look at the solution. Since we don't know the certain number, we'll just assign a variable to that number. This time around we'll use x. So let the certain number be called x. And then the next thing is that 7 is added to that certain number. So when 7 is added to the certain number, which is x, we have x plus 7. So that's simply represented by x plus 7 and then divided by 2. So if the result is divided by 2, then we have x plus 7 all enclosed in a bracket and we divide it by 2. And the result is 4. So what we're saying is that x plus 7 divided by 2 is equal to 4. So what we'll simply do is to try to solve this equation. If we look at this particular equation, x plus 7 over 2 divided by x plus 7 divided by 2 and is equals to 4. One of the best ways we can simplify this, you have a fraction on the left hand side because you're dividing it. So what we can simply do is to remove that fraction. What are we dividing it by? We're dividing it by 2. So what we can simply do is multiply both sides by 2 in order to simplify. And when we do that, we'll have an equation that looks like this. So of course the objective was to remove the fraction on the left hand side. So when you multiply 2 on the left hand side, the 2 cancels out the other 2, and then the same thing you do to the right hand side, you multiply the 4 by 2. So what we are left with will be x plus 7 is equals to 8. Looking at the left hand side, you see that the 2 cancels out the 2, and then looking at the right hand side, 2 multiplies by 4 now becomes 8. So what we're going to do here is try to identify the like terms. When we identify the like terms, the identification of the like terms is simply because we want to simplify further. Left hand side we have a number 7, right hand side we have a number 8. So we can take the number on the left hand side to the right hand side so that we can simplify further, and then we'll just be left with the variable x on the left hand side. Why do we identify the like term? So that we can simplify further. You have an apple and then you want to add another apple, you have 2 apples. When you have an apple and then you want to add a pineapple, so 1 apple plus 1 pineapple still remains 1 apple plus 1 pineapple. So since 7 and 8 are like terms, we'll take the 7 to the right hand side. It now becomes 8 minus 7. You remember on the left hand side it was positive. When you cross it to the right hand side, it now becomes negative. So when we simplify that further, we have x is equals to 8 minus 7. And that is what we have done to group the like terms for further simplification. So x will simply be 8 minus 7, which is equals to 1. So our certain number is 1. But we'll just do a quick check. So if we're saying the certain number is added to 7, what we're saying is 1 is added to 7 to give us 8. And then dividing it by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. And that satisfies the question above. And that tells you and me that the certain number 1 is correctly solved. But there's a quick way of solving questions like this. If you look at the question above, it says a certain number is added to 7 and then divided by 2. the result is 4. What is the number? So you can start from what the result is. So if you look at the result, look at the question above at the top. What is the result? The result is 4. What was the activity that was carried out shortly before that on the left hand side? You see that then divided by 2. So if instead of the division, just convert it to multiplication. So 4 multiplied by 2, what do you have? 8. So go further to the left hand side. What do you have? What was the activity that happened before then? You have added 7. So from that 8, instead of added 7, subtract 7. So 8 minus 7, you have what? 1. And that also gives us the solution. So it's just a quick way of also solving it. Thank you very much. So our solution is 1.